Hello, and welcome to another lesson from Level Up Mathematics. In today's lesson, we will be solving two-step equations. Today's lesson is part one of a two-part lesson. So when we're solving an equation, the process of finding the value of the variable that makes the equation true, when we solve an equation, we are undoing what has been done to the variable in reverse order. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. So for example 1, it says solve each equation and check your solution. So we have our equation is 5x plus 2 is equal to 32. We're trying to find the number that we could substitute in for x and make the left side equal to 32 so that both sides will equal 32. So let's talk about what's being done to x in the original equation. So in this equation, they're multiplying x by 5 and then adding 2. So if we wanted to reverse that process, we would have to subtract 2 and then divide by 5. So we have to undo the process in the reverse order. So let's start by subtracting 2 from the left side and subtracting 2 from the right side. So we'll draw our line here. Let's draw a line where the equals is 2 to kind of keep these two sides separate. Okay, so when we subtract 2 over here, these two zero out, and we're left with 5x on the left side. And on the right side, we're left with 32 minus 2, which is 30. All right, so we subtracted the 2. Now we need to divide by 5. So we'll divide this side by 5 and this side by 5. So 5 divided by 1 cancels to 1. 5 divided by 5 cancels to 1. So we're left with 1x, or just x, equals. And 30 divided by 5 is equal to 6. Now, to check the solution, you write down the original equation. Then you replace the x with parentheses. And you plug in your solution, which we got 6. Then we check it. 5 times 6 is 30. So 30 plus 2 is 32. So now the left side is equal to the right side, and I can box my solution in because I know it's true. It's important to check because sometimes you make an arithmetic error and you don't realize it until you get to the check step. So that check step is really important. All right. In problem B, we have 7n minus 3 is equal to 25. So let's talk about what's being done to the variable n. Well, in this problem, they're multiplying n by 7, and then they're subtracting 3. So I want to undo that in the reverse order. So I would add 3 and divide by 7. So let's do that. Let's add 3 to the left side and add 3 to the right side. Draw your line down the middle here, so we'll keep the left side separate from the right side. So the 3's would zero out and leave me 7n equals 28. Then we'll divide both sides by 7. And the 7's would cancel to 1. And 28 divided by 7 is 4. Now, to check my equation, I'll write the original equation down. Then I'm going to replace the n with parentheses and plug in whatever we got for our answer. In this problem, we got 4. That's what we're checking is for a solution. So 7 times 4 is 28 minus 3. And 28 minus 3 is 25. So n equals 4, checks out, and is a solution. All right, problem C, we have 8y plus 2 is equal to 90. So let's talk about what operations are being performed on y. So they're multiplying the y by 8, then they're adding 2. So the opposite in the reverse order would be subtract 2, divide by 8. So let's try that. Subtract 2 on this side, subtract 2 on this side. So the 2's would zero out, and I'd be left with, let me separate this, 8y equals 90 minus 2 is 88. Now divide by 8. So 8 divided by 8 gives me 1y is equal to 88 divided by 8 gives me 11. Now to check it, write down your original equation, 8y plus 2 equals 90. Replace the y with parentheses. Plug in your solution. So 88 plus 2, and that's 90 equals 90. So y equals 11 is our solution. Excuse me. In problem D, we have x divided by 3 plus 7. So the opposite of that would be subtract 7 and then multiply by 3. So let's drop our line here, subtract the 7. So we get x divided by 3 is equal to 4. Now I want to multiply both sides by 3. So this 3 will cancel with this 3 and leave me x equals. And over here, 3 times 4 gives me 12. Now we'll check that by writing down the original equation. And we'll plug in our solution, which was 12. And we'll see if we're correct. So 12 divided by 3 is 4 plus 7. So 11 equals 11. So x equals 12 is the solution to this equation. Now, in example 2, they've given us a model. It says the model below represents a linear equation. Write the equation which is being solved by the model and then find the value of the variable that makes the equation 2. So for this equation, I have 3 x's. So that's 3x. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. So that'd be negative 4. And it's equal to positive 2. So let's talk about what's being done to the variable. They're multiplying it by 3 and subtracting 4. So the opposite of that would be add 4, divide by 3. So if we add the 4, the 4's would zero out, and I would get 3x equals 6. And if I divide by 3, I get 1x is equal to 2. Now I'm going to check that. And I'm going to plug in a 2. So 3 times 2 is 6 minus 4. So my solution checked out. So over here, the equation that the model represented was 3x minus 4 equals 2, and the solution was x equals 2. And that concludes today's lesson, Solving Two-Step Equations, Part 1.